If you found this video, you are most likely scouring through all of the content on breakups and trying to just find some hope. Whether it is 5 easy steps to get your ex back or 5 easy steps to get over your ex. Today we're going to talk all about breakups. I myself have been previously married, divorced, and also am currently going through a breakup. I have learned so much from this pain over and over and over again in my life. And I hope that wherever this video finds you, that it can be a sense of encouragement to you and just something to hold on to and really question as you're navigating these things through yourself. My name is Lacey. I'm a complex trauma survivor. This is Miss Mia Marie taking a nap in the background. She's low-key the best part of this channel. I am so passionate about exploring this human condition, how to be a human in process, and let's talk about these things and do it better. And man, oh man, should we talk about relationships, because there's so much we could do better. I have always had codependent relationships and healthy relationships. That was the cycle that I continued perpetuating for myself. Previously was married, and in that marriage learned so much about my own pain that I had no idea what to do with. That was the catalyst for all of my expansion and growth. I lost literally everything. I had $7 to my name, was living on a blow-up mattress, had to leave my dog with him for a while. It felt like my life was over. I know that if you are going through a breakup, especially if it is something that I don't really like to talk about the time that was involved, because sometimes shorter relationships that there was a profound connection, they can be even more meaningful than those that were really long. But if you are in a relationship where you felt seen and known and loved, or there was hope there, or you really desired a future with this person, and you are going through a breakup, I just want to start by saying I see you. This is a loss. Just like if somebody died in your life, you deserve to feel that. I know it's really, really overwhelming to feel like these emotions just won't stop. And I really want to challenge us to lean into that. And the image that comes to mind is a wave. So let's say you're on the beach. I heard this the other day. Somebody mentioned the imagery of a giant wave coming, and either you stand there and you just get knocked over by it, you try to run away and pretend that there's time to do that, when in reality this thing's gonna get you. What's the other alternative? And what often you're taught to do is you dive into the wave. You go into it in order to get through it. The same thing goes for buffalo. I learned this the other day, that apparently buffalo, when they know it's gonna rain, they run into the storm, lessening the impact because they're running and facing the thing head on. I really, 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 really want to encourage you that pain is often the biggest catalyst that we can ever experience in our life. Everything good that has happened from my life has started because I said, screw this coping and running and pretending that this isn't real. If it's coming up for me, I'm gonna look at it. If I'm in pain, I'm not trying to do this again. So many of my relationships were the same cycle over and over and over again, and it is exhausting. So I made a commitment that if it's coming up, if it's real in that moment, that I'm going to look at it, even if it's hard. And I'm encouraging you to do the same. I know it feels like that emotion is going to just drown you. And there is a time in which we have to allow ourselves to feel it, to be in that space, to allow that grief, which is simply the expression of the love that we had and the loss that we feel by no longer having that in our life, that we can honor that feeling. That is real for you. But when you are in that place of feeling, I really want you to be mindful of the thoughts that you are thinking. It's so easy to go down the rabbit hole, to blame, to put anger, to do so many things that historically have maybe been that background narrative of your life. Why was I not enough? Only I did this, then they would have stayed. Cringy things that can come up when we go through heartbreak. But I want to encourage you to look at the things that are coming up as the template to the things that are still yet to be healed. What are the stories I am telling myself when I am in the most vulnerable place? Really think about it. If somebody was injured, physically injured, or a child was physically injured, you wouldn't sit there and be like, you're so this and you're so that. We beat ourselves up when we are quite literally in the worst place of our life. I also want us to think about when did that start and who showed me that that's how we react to big emotions and to our pain. If we are ones to go at ourselves from that place, I just want to remind you that you are worthy of compassion and of empathy and of love for yourself in the pain that you are facing. Do not rush yourself out of this process. Allow yourself the space to feel it. I'm also going to be posting a video about how do we actually feel the emotions that we're feeling and what do we do to process them, so So if you're interested in that, don't forget to subscribe, click the bell, all the things. Next thing I really want to address is living in reality. I know. Behaviors and actions that do not align are a red flag. And we all have red flags. I'm not saying that a single red flag is a deal breaker. But when somebody says something and they don't actually follow through with that thing, or they say they care about you and they love you, yet they haven't shown you that in their actions, they might genuinely think that that's how they feel, but there is something in the way. There is something that is hindering them from actually stepping into the thing that they say that they believe. And if you have to trust something, trust the action. I have had to just be so grounded in this for myself, of looking at the behavior and looking at the action, not looking at that wishful thinking, that denial. My trauma can very easily play out. In my upbringing with a narcissistic dad, that magical thinking, the codependency, like I had to have that in order to survive. I have justified things in relationship over and over and over again because I didn't feel like I could take up space. I didn't think I could have needs. Oh my gosh, I would die for her. I learned that my world should revolve around them. So the second I would get into relationship, everything just became meshed into that. And in that magical thinking, I have to see these red flags and these things that I do feel, and I do, like, I know in my heart of hearts, if I'm honest and I look back in hindsight, we saw it. We saw it. I know. There's reasons why we didn't want to see it. And it's always both. The whole idea of like anything being black and white, especially when it comes to people, it's always both. You can have a beautiful, wonderful human being that you love so much, and also they don't have the skills to sustain a relationship. The third thing I really want to touch on is that love is not enough. Hear me. Love is not enough to sustain a relationship. You can love somebody with everything in you, and they do not have the skills and or are not willing to learn the skills to be in a healthy partnership with you. And that is totally healthy to grieve, to be sad, to be mad. But at the end of the day, love is not enough. We spend time with somebody long enough. These things that we feel in the beginning of a relationship, and the intensity and the chemistry and the connection. Love is an action that is proven consistently over time. If somebody is not showing you consistently who they are for themselves, not for you, not to fill in whatever expectations that you have, who are they for themselves? How are they showing up in their life? How do they talk to people? How do they relate to their family? How do they approach their own growth and healing? Are you really on the same page, or are you projecting the goodness of who you are onto them? If you didn't create that space or initiate that space, would they really have done it? And this stuff is hard. I'm not saying that you really process through all this stuff at the same time. Like, please be gentle with yourself in this process. But once things start kind of simmering down, it's really important to ask these questions so that we don't continue carrying in all of this fear, all of these unprocessed things into our next relationship. The beautiful thing about relationship and about love is that we can always do it better, but we have to have a willingness to do it. The fourth point that I want to focus on is what is not choosing you. Do not choose. Do not choose it. You do not have to beg. You are enough. You are worthy as you are. And guess what? If there are things about you that you don't feel good about, you can change it. You can improve. You can grow. You can learn. The beauty of relationships, the beauty of people is that we can learn and unlearn. Will it be hard? Abso-freaking-lutely. Are relationships often the most triggering thing in the world? Yeah, it's the template of what we've had from childhood. Almost always is related to our primary caregivers, our attachment systems. We need relationship with people. So when we are confronted with this dynamic and we have unhealed wounds, like deep-seated attachment, caregiver wounds, we are coming to this place from this empty love tank. Think about it like a love tank. You come into this thing with a tank of love, self-respect, dignity, values, goals, all of the things. This other person is coming into it, hopefully with similar things, right? Love, respect, dignity, integrity, all the things. When you've grown up in abuse, or if you've grown up in spaces where there was neglect, or that your needs were overlooked, or that you couldn't count on a caregiver to see you, to love you, to know you as you are, you ultimately are coming into this relationship from a negative love tank. You are expecting another person to fulfill you. And I'm talking to myself. I have always struggled with this because I have been so conditioned into this narrative of one day somebody's gonna come in and my pain's gonna go away. And when I got married, I had so much resentment towards my husband because guess what? Somebody chose me and my pain didn't go away. It was really hard because there's so many times where he was like, you're not being abused right now. Why are you still acting this way? And I had no idea any of this stuff. I had no idea that there were like terms for my family and what trauma was, narcissistic abuse, psychological abuse. But what we do not face, we will carry into, and we choose from that space. So when I don't feel worthy of existing, of taking up space, of owning my own experience because I've been talked out of it so many times, or gaslit or manipulated, I have been constantly refined over and over and over again to believe these internal dialogues that I'm not enough, that nobody's willing to choose me to stay. That is what I act on unless I deal with that. And this is me shamelessly saying to you, the voice that beats you up in your head is not yours. It's not. And I'm so sorry that you have experienced that and that you feel that you are not enough. I spent so much of my life feeling that way. You have always been enough as you are. And anything and everything that can improve, you can improve. But you as yourself, you are not broken. You are not a self-help project. There's nothing you can change that makes you more worthy of love. You are so divinely enough. I just want to scream that on the rooftops until you believe me, maybe one day. Number 5, be careful who you talk to about the breakup. And why do I say this? We all want to word vomit to our closest friends, all of our feelings and pain, all of our anger, all of the things, but you are the only one that was in that relationship. They're protective of you. They care about you. So they're going to externally give you a lot of feedback that sometimes you don't really want to hear. And you have to also maintain the dignity and integrity of what was true for you in that relationship. There's no way that they can ever fully get the picture. I'm not saying that you hide things. I'm not saying that you do not disclose things that need to be talked about. I am saying just because you want to defile their character and like go at them because you're pissed at them because you didn't get what you wanted, yet they had never shown you that throughout the relationship, that's not fair. That's not fair. That's us wanting to hold on to something that is easier to feel than love without a place to go. Just know that you are the one that has to decide the truth of what that relationship meant to you, how you feel about it. And sometimes people can give us good insight, yes, but I encourage you to only seek out the safety of people that you really trust. Would you switch positions with them in their relationship? Would you want something like they have? And if the answer is no, then I would not take advice from them. I think we're on number 6. If I've lost track, y'all, I'm trying my best. Rebounds, coping, and distraction. Wherever you go, there you are. Yeah. In some senses, when you are going through a breakup, sometimes just knowing that other people exist can kind of help, because you realize this is not the end of my world. Other people exist. I will feel love again. But when you are going through this breakup and it is recent and raw and you involve somebody else into it, even if it's clear, let's say you guys agreed to keep things casual, you haven't processed any of this stuff. It's impossible to just shove this aside. We are suppressing. And I promise you, and this is truth of the nervous system, whatever you suppress actually comes back threefold strength. Smacks you in the face because your body's like, yo, you can't just tuck it away. So when we involve another person into that, it gets really messy really fast, and it's not fair. People are not toys. They're not there to, again, take away our pain. We get to see and witness and experience life with others. And when we are still functioning from a place of pain and of grief and of loss, it is so easy for that to get really slippery and really, really messy really fast. The same thing goes for coping. I recommitted to my sobriety. I've struggled with addiction for years. I also will be sharing a video about my addiction story and how I have been overcoming addiction in active recovery. I've had addiction to substances, to food, to people, to social media, to so many things. My brain was constantly seeking to self-medicate from all of my pain. And so if you're interested in that, again, subscribe, stick around. When we are in pain, what do you want to do? You want relief. If you have your hand on the stove, what is the first thing your body does? It pulls it away. You don't want to feel the thing. Everything in your body wants to run out the front door right now. And the power and the wisdom that comes from heartache actually sits within the space of like not doing that. It's really hard. And this is where we learn how to feel our feelings. How do we actually process the feeling, not the thought related to the feeling? We can get stuck in those loops of the thought, the belief, the things that we've carried into that emotion, the correlation that has been tied to that emotion, the fear of I'm gonna get lost in this emotion, when in reality all of this is data. It's just like the pain I feel when I'm touching a hot stove. It's telling me that there's pain for a reason, that there's danger here, right? What is my emotion trying to express to me? How can I lean into that? I'm jumping into the wave with curiosity and love. That's where we learn. That's where we grow. And that's where we also get to create safety and intimacy within ourselves. Allowing yourself the space to heal, to do whatever you need to do, to fall apart, to take a year off and not talk to anybody. I'm like, y'all can think I'm married. I have a ring on my left hand. It's a commitment I made to myself. I mean the vows that I said to myself when I got divorced. I meant every single word of those vows. I'll do a video about that too because it was profound. I firmly believe we all should write commitments to ourselves the same way that we would hope to write those to another or somebody would write them to us. But I promise you, no matter what happens in the future, if you get back together with your ex, if you don't, you diving into the healing process, addressing these triggers and wounds, being aware of the stuff that is coming up and not running from yourself, not coping from it, not distracting from it, not numbing it, you will be better for it. No matter what the outcome is, I promise you your future relationship will thank you for it. And your relationship with yourself will thank you for it too. Last but not least, and this is my favorite of all of them, I really want us to just take a second and think about how sacred relationships are. This is direct access to your heart. Like, we're out here willy-nilly with this thing as if there's no consequences. We pretend that we want to be casual and just hook up with people. We do all this stuff. It has a deep impact on us because we are deeply feeling attachment-oriented creatures. We need people. We are driven by love, and there's so many ways that we can express it. I'm not saying that you can't choose to live your life however you choose to live it. What I am saying is when your heart is hurting, it impacts every area of your life. The Bible says it this way: guard your heart above all else, because from it is the wellspring of life. Your life is so deeply impacted by the relationships that you surround yourself with. The people that you give access to your heart, that you give access to your mind, you see the impacts of that. Look at abuse. Look at these relationships. Look at the pain that we feel that we've carried for so long because we didn't get the things we needed in childhood. Look at all of these things and see the impact. This was an impact of one human being. 2 human beings, the person that said the thing to us that just burned into our memory and that has created this root and belief that has derailed part of our life. Being around the wrong person can derail your life. Being abused psychologically can make you feel insane. I didn't know what up and down was for a period of my life. I was in an abusive relationship that when I left that relationship, I felt like a shell of a person. I had no idea who I was. I didn't know what my favorite color was. I didn't know what I liked to eat. I didn't know anything about myself because I was so criticized and so manipulated and just coerced into just being this little thing that they were able to use and abuse. And you know, y'all, my heart hurts for her. I think back to the things that I survived, how many times I was assaulted, how many times I put myself in positions that were dangerous and I knew they were not safe, and I didn't know how to protect myself. I didn't know how to care for myself, to have the boundaries to do these things. And this is why I'm so freaking passionate about this, because you deserve your own protection. Boundaries are selected access. You got a password, my guy. You're not coming into this thing without my active consent, without understanding there's a rate to admission here. You deserve to have standards for your life because not everybody can or should have access to you. That doesn't mean that you build walls that cut out the outside world. That's just avoidance. That's just running from it. There's one thing to say that we're healed, and it's one thing to say that I'm just never putting myself in a position to be triggered and or to feel the discomfort of said triggers. We learn by leaning into the discomfort in relationship. We are wounded in relationship and we heal in relationship. And I know it is so hard, especially when you have gone through these things, to trust again, to have hope again, to believe that good people exist. And I promise you, the more that you dive into this work for yourself, the more that you focus on your healing, on your growth, on what you've always deserved, no matter what you've lived through in the past, and really looking at the roots of that. I think we have this image of like healing, of plucking up these roots, like these little cartoon roots. Have you ever seen a tree? Have you ever seen like a really established tree? Those things go deep and they are thousands of roots. This is a lifelong process. There is no linear progression to this. Sometimes we feel really freaking healed and then we're in an environment that triggers all of our anxiety and we go, what the heck? I've done so much work on myself. How do I feel this crazy? It's constantly just riding these waves. Healing is not that you never experience turmoil or that you never go through trauma or pain. It's that you learn how to become resilient. You learn how to ride the waves without drowning or without impacting the rest of your life. No matter what you have gone through, no matter what you are going through right now, your life does not end here today. So to finish out this video, I want to do a little exercise with you. I really want you to think about what you perceive as love. What do you perceive as safety, a family? What are the things that are coming up for you? And I know if you've had a hard upbringing or you've never really seen that, it might feel overwhelming that you have never really felt safe. And I hear you and I get that. But if in a perfect world, what would love feel like to you? What would it feel like to you? For me, it feels like home. A home that is safe, that sees me, that knows me, that values me, that pursues me, and vice versa, that invests, that does not turn away when things get hard, that leans in, that is committed to growth themselves. A home that feels like a warm hug. I want you to feel that. What does that feel like to be seen and to be known for who you are? In all of your weirdness, in all of your little quirks, in all of the things that you are, that you've always perceived maybe are not lovable. I want you to feel that. You have that within you, and you need that from you. And I beg you, do not settle. It is so much better to wait long than to marry wrong. Let me tell you, the wrong partner has the ability to destroy your heart and your life. Somebody exists in this world that would love to love you as you are. Do not give up on love. That love exists. Maybe take a second and write down some things that came to mind. Write a list of what you hope to feel and embody in a relationship that you long for, and do not settle for less than that. Create that within yourself. And I promise you, somebody with the shared values, the shared heart, the same vision will come along one day. You do not have to earn your lovableness. You do not have to prove anything. You are enough as you are. And I promise you, the right person would love to love you. In the meantime, that person is you. And during that time that you meet somebody, that person is still you. They will not fulfill every need. They will not take the pain away. We have to have the skills to then meet them in the same way that we desire them to meet us. I know this is hard. I know you are feeling all the things. Be in reality. Look at the reality of what is and what you desire and what you know to be true. Even if that means looking at the pain, do not shy away from it. That's when it is the most malleable. That's when we learn. That's when we lean into our God, to our higher power. That's when we discover so much is in the dark. And I'm so sorry that you're going through this, but I pray that this time is the most transformative catalyst of your life. Do not give up. Keep getting in there. You will look back at this day and thank you for it. If this video resonated with you, I ask that you share it with somebody that's maybe going through a similar situation. Please like, subscribe, all the things. It helps so much to grow the channel. I really just want to share this content with the world, get it out there. We all go through these things, and sometimes we just need a little truth bomb. I love you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for spending your time with me. And until next time, keep getting in the mud, y'all.